Hello everyone! Today we will be covering our terrain editor. First we will cover what the terrain editor is for and why we will need it for our game. Then we will get into the terrain editor itself. Afterwards, I will assign some homework. What is the terrain editor? The terrain editor is a built-in Roblox function that is for generating map terrain. Why do we use the terrain editor? The terrain editor makes it easier as well as saves space in a map by generating a landscape. This allows us to generate our land without using an unnecessary amount of parts and meshes. We will be making our semi-realistic land with the terrain editor. Then later on when we get into modeling, we can create our roads and houses to go on top / in the terrain. So let us get familiar with our terrain editor. Open up Roblox Studio. If you do not have this terrain editor icon in your studio, you can go into View. You will see the terrain editor here on the right. We shall start with the Create tab. Generate generates a terrain for you based on a given seed. You can adjust the starting position, the specific size of your generated region, as well as what you want in. You can adjust the starting position, the specific size of your generated region, as well as what you want inside of your map. Most of these biomes are similar with just a different material. The dunes though look good if you are making a desert with sand dunes, then you probably would want to generate it. You can control the size of each biome, as well as if you want underground caves. The Import tab is for importing essentially a map. I would ignore this for now since I am sure most of you are not familiar with height maps. Convert converts various parts, models, and etc. into terrain. The Clear button removes all of the terrain. Next we move on to Region. Region. So region modifies the properties of a region you have selected. You can easily select your region with the Select tool and click and drag. The rest of the options should be straightforward in terms of functionality. The Fill bucket allows you to fill or replace the material of the selected region. The Merge Empty just means to merge the empty space in the selected region. Now the Edit tool. First we will select Add and discuss the settings. So you basically draw terrain. You have spheres, cubes, and cylinders. I highly suggest avoiding cylinders just so the terrain looks cleaner and more uniform. You can control the size of the terrain. Pivot position refers to what part of the terrain block you are drawing will basically be the center that you rotate around. You have the bottom, center, and the top. Notice when I am drawing, your terrain is drawn to a specific flat plane. You can tell the orientation based on this highlighted grid you see. Snap to Grid makes sure your terrain sticks to a specific grid versus freehand drawing. Ignore Water basically ignores water if there is any. It is a little different with the Add tool since it would basically just replace the water. The Paint tool would be a better option. Subtract basically removes the terrain. Grow adds on top of the current terrain. Erode more degrades it. The Smooth tool erodes and sorta rounds it out a bit, removing sharp edges from the terrain. Terrain. Be careful with the Smooth tool. Flatten flattens the terrain up to the selected grid plane. Paint is mainly for changing the material of the selected area. Sea level basically generates or removes water up to the selected position as well as within the given size. size. Evaporate removes water. Create generates water. Replace material is similar to the region where it simply changes the material the selected area. Grow and replace do make it look more natural though in comparison to just adding. That covers most of our terrain editor on the surface. As for home, for homework, for next week I want you all to create a place in the group and generate your idea of the terrain for the game. Do not worry about any of the models, just make and modify the landscape as you need to. Next class we will go into some basic modeling as well as talk about the remaining windows I didn't go over last time. I hope you all have a good weekend. See you next weeks.